name is Danielle, and today we're going to be talking about service learning through COVID-19 and how that happened. So thankfully for us, our professor, Dr. Kadri, was able to pair us with an online schooling system named FAME. And we were able to interact directly with students to be able to teach them extracurricular activities through Zoom calls. I was in charge of 5th grade to 8th grade of doing arts and painting over a Zoom call. I'm sure you can also hear the worry in my voice on how was I going to do that, and this is what we're going to talk about today. This is where all the magic happened. I worked every Tuesday right here on this desk trying to do Zoom arts and crafts. This is my craft cart with all a bunch of craft supplies and my desk and my laptop. And so I just tried to find as many activities that would be easy to translate through an online system and not very much heavily based on being in person, because that was the card that we were dealt. So I tried to make sure that we had things that were visually very colorful and very big, and things that I made myself so that students could know that they could do it themselves too. I also made sure that the books that I used were very large, also very colorful, so that if I had to show them like this, they could still see what I was trying to show them. And you know, if it worked out that I could take a picture and share my screen and show them, or do something through online, it was great. But sometimes when you're seeing the questions that they're asking, sometimes you just need to pick up the book and show them. And so I made sure that the books that we were using in my class were very visually big, so that through the screen they could still see and fully understand what I was trying to give to them. We also tried to do projects that were not super complicated so that they didn't feel overwhelmed, especially during this time. We're confused and we're trying to figure out, and we're all inside. So I wanted things that were going to be fun and easy, but still learning something. So our big focus for my class was color theory, the color wheel, how colors work together, and things that the kids could see within their home. Flowers, vases, paintings, pictures, room color, how the sun affects them, all things as that is what we were really trying to focus on, so that it was things that they could see throughout the day and be thinking about. And we would talk about them every single week on Tuesday. Another thing that I tried to do to make sure that our class was being interactive was we did a t-shirt project, which is the t-shirt that I'm currently wearing. And so at the end of every class, we would do a little symbol that represents a student. This is the apple that represents me, and we would do that. At the very first class that we did, I did a project called the logo project, and it was just creating a logo for yourself that represents yourself. And at the end of every class period, going on the weeks, we would revisit one student's logo project, pick something that we thought represented them, and draw it on our shirt, so that we could take this physical thing, tangible thing, even though we are not tangibly together, we have this physical thing together we can move on from and remember this time and remember the things that we had to do to be able to feel connected. And so all of everything now is online, so all my lesson plans were also on my computer, and I would just I would split my screen with my lesson plan and my Zoom call, so that I could still be looking at my lesson plan, but making sure that I'm paying attention to my students. We had a very open forum. I never made my students put themselves on mute, because in an art classroom, when you walk in there, you hear the talk, you hear the hustle, and you hear the bustle and all that stuff, and I wanted that free-flowing communication during our art class. If it was any other class, I probably would have suggested to do mute, but in an art class, you want the creativity to flow, you want the open conversation, you want the ideas to be bouncing off of each other, and that's the kind of flow and openness and trustingness I wanted within my classroom. Luckily for me, my classroom was all females, so we had a sort of bond together, and we all loved to read. So we incorporated those things into my art classes. We did a lot of things based on characters that we had all read about. We did a lot of things on books that I had never read, but I did for them. And our final project was anything that they wanted to do, and we all worked on it together. We bounced ideas off of each other and helped each other conceptualize a final project so that it all felt like a piece of each other. If you have to go on and do service learning through Zoom, I suggest trying to be as organized as possible because a lot of answers are not out there and you have to find the answers for yourself. So keep organized, make sure your lesson plans are pretty detailed so that you don't get confused and lost, and don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't be afraid to look for things and look and search out for other things. And so service learning or just teaching Zoom online, I just think that the most important thing is to just be yourself and be calm and understand that we're all trying to figure it out together. Another really important thing that we did in my service learning classroom is we talked about our personal lives. I feel like now that we're not face-to-face anymore, we don't really get to know our students because we're just trying to figure out this whole technology world. We did talk a lot about each other's personal lives. I asked every single one of my students at the beginning of every class how their week went, anything new happened, anything bad happened, how can I help them, and they asked the same thing for me. And I feel like that really created this bond that we could then have just no mics muted and just be able to work on our projects together. And finally, as my closing, service learning through FAME was one of the greatest experiences I've ever done. It was super fun, it was a great time, I love my girls and I will forever cherish them. And I hope that the next people that get to interact with FAME get to experience the same thing that I do and cherish these students. They're one of the most hardworking students and so caring of our teachers. So I hope that you also have a great experience like I did. Thank you.